So for anybody that was keeping an eye on the DL, you probably saw some emails in February about our Valentine's Day fundraiser. So basically, I guess Photoshop does all sorts of editing stuff. And the way it's laid out, as most Adobe products are all your tools are here on the left. And it's pretty convenient. So if you hover over them, it'll tell you what they are and what they do. And now I realize I should totally back up even one more step and say, we all, if we need to use Adobe Cloud for as part of our work, we can make a request through the IT help desk to get Adobe Cloud installed. They will, what you do is you contact IT help desk at, at 7000 is the phone number, 619-388-7000, or you can email them at ithelp@sdccd.edu. And what you have to do is say, I need Photoshop, and clear this with your supervisor or dean. And they will email our IT at Mesa, and they'll set up an Adobe account for you. You can install the programs on your own computer. IT will install it on your work computer, and you'll have access to the cloud. So it's pretty amazing, all the things you can do. I know that a lot of people use Canva or some of those online things. This is just a little more powerful with a lot more options. So what I've got here is our choir director sent me a poster, and she had put $20 there and I didn't like it. So I took the pen tool and I'll pick a color, and I just wrote on it, and I said, I don't want it to be $20. Anything you can do, you can always step backward, and you can set it up. I think the default is about 50, so you can undo about 50 times. So one of the things they call this is non-destructive editing. So it's doing everything on top. So you're not destroying the original image. If you ever want to get back, as you can see, I'm just hiding all these other layers. And so they do it with something called layers. So it's kind of like having a bunch of pictures stacked on top, and you can drag them around and put different things on top of different things. So this is kind of what I use it for. So if I want to, find a picture and lay it in, and then right on top of it, you've got text layers. You can, all your different fonts, including Wingdings and Optima, which, our official font. So that is kind of like how you're working. Obviously, you can save the project, and this is working as a Photoshop project file. But Photoshop project files are not good for anybody else except for those using Photoshop. So usually we'll end up saving it as a, let's see. So you go to save as, and let's say we want to send this on the DL. There's no point. So I guess one thing about size is it's really good to send small emails and small pictures, and pictures that are the appropriate size for email. JPEG is the most condensed file size. And as I save this, it will ask me what quality I want, and it'll show me a preview of how large this file is. So for any times you're getting those 10 meg attachments and filling up your email and having to empty it all the time, this is one way that when you send out pictures, you won't be sending super large ones that'll fill up people's inboxes. So you can go down to like a medium quality, and it gets it down to 244 kilobytes. Not going to be as good for printing, but this is not made to be printed. So one of the things is about graphics editing is kind of knowing what the purpose of your file is. So if it was printing, we would do the largest, most high quality file at maximum, and it'd be 1.2 megs. Since we're just emailing it, I'd probably go down to medium, and we've shaved off 80% of the file size, and nobody's actually going to know that when they open up their email, except they'll download quicker and not fill up their inbox. So let's see. So that is a start. There are cool features like the magic wand, which tries to know, like, it knows what you're going to select. So if I go like, oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Let me hide all my other layers. What I want to do, what I'm trying to do is get all the pink, or the background. And so it has selected right now, if I hit delete, it thinks I wanted to delete the background. But really, if I wanted to change it, I can select the inverse. And now I've selected everything that's not the background. This is really handy if you're trying to use like a stock photo and, you know, it's got someone else's text that has nothing to do with what you want. So this would delete anything that's selected. You can always undo. One of the other features that's cool is Estimesa style guide. We have a style guide from our communications department. And one of the things that they provide us are colors. So these are called hex codes, and these are RGB is red, green, blue. They're all different ways just to say colors. So if you ever want to do something and be very accurate with your colors, what you do is you can grab a color code, come over here, and you click on your color picker right here, and we can paste in that color code. And now we've got our Mesa blue. And if I wanted to make the background blue, I would do that. Now I'd have to worry about some of this other colors right here. And that would be another challenge because I would have to go to each time that something is completely encapsulated with another line and hit each little spot. So it can get a little meticulous, but the most important thing to know is that all of the colors are on our website. And so any color you want, all you have to do is copy that little code right there and drop it in. And this will work also just in any graphics program that you're doing. You know, so if you're doing Canva or something, again, there are a couple official fonts we're supposed to use. So same deal. These fonts, you would put in Optima on the font layer. And so I just try to use Optima and Arial as much as possible, just to be in line with the communications department.
Are those fonts built into Windows, or do we have to download them somewhere?
Arial is built into everything, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. Optima.
Yeah, I just haven't heard of Optima. I haven't looked to see if it's built into Windows by default or if it's something I have to get somewhere.
I think I've had computers where it's built in and computers where it's not.
Okay.
If you need it, I typically just do a quick Google. And there's all sorts of sites with free fonts. And usually I'm on a Mac at the moment, but what is it? I'm trying to think of all of the different sites that I've used, but basically most fonts are free. Some of them you do have to pay for, but most fonts are free. Optima is a free one. And so yeah, a quick Google will get it for you.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack.
No, this is kind of what this is for. I don't have too much of a game plan. I just wanted to go over a couple of projects that I've done, and then let people ask questions, because I know we've got beginners, and then I know we've got some more advanced people, and then I know that we're going to get into Premiere very soon. And but these are all the things that we go through as we prepare videos and photographs for our jobs.
Hey, Alan, one thing I might comment is when you were talking about picking a color,
yes,
even something as simple as Microsoft Word has that option for putting in the code for a color. So if people are just doing maybe a Word document and they want Mesa approved colors, you can use it there as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've not done that in Word, but yeah, I've gotten my hand slapped enough times for doing unapproved colors and fonts, and hey, can you change this? So I've learned
I would never, Alan. I would never.
Right. No, it's good. It once I learned where the tools were so that I could do it the way that everybody wants me to do it, it became real easy. So that was the most important thing, was knowing the target, and then knowing what I needed to hit my target. And then plus Google, plus YouTube, and you can hit a lot of targets. Let's see. I'm just going to open up a couple of other things that I've done, and this is just kind of in the use of templates. This is, let's see. So I've got a folder with 262 items in my programs and flyer stuff, and we kind of tend to reuse stuff. This was a design a student made a couple of years ago that our chair liked, and we continue to reuse it. The only thing that changes is the date. So every time I can just reuse something, and here's my text layer. You get a little preview of what they are. Our YouTube address is not changing. Every once in a while, we will not feature jazz, classical, piano, guitar, and jazz combo. We might feature vibraphone or something. So I can change that text. But usually it would just be changing the date. So if I select that layer, I could say Monday, we'll just say 2021. So it's super easy to change. It becomes super efficient. If you got designs that you reuse, you can save the whole thing as the project file. And then each time you need to export it, you can just do a save as. You could do a JPEG, you could do a PNG. I would recommend, if you're doing it for email, doing a JPG. If you're doing it for printing or for web, I would go with PNG. It's a better graphics file, but it takes up more space. And That's most of it. I do have one thing I can show you at the end. I realize it's already 10:18, so I want to move on to Premiere Pro, but I've got a pretty good trick that I can show you at the end about when you need to take a screenshot, but it doesn't all fit on your screen. So you got to take a screenshot of the top and a screenshot of the bottom, and then you got to put them together. Using layers in Photoshop is an amazingly easy way to do that and get it absolutely perfect. So if we got time to double back, if people want to see that, I will be glad to show that. I'd say 50% of the things that I end up using in my flyers and having to, put on the DL or on the Facebook page or use in a video are screenshots. So it's a cool little trick.
And quick question.
Yep.
In the older versions of Photoshop, in the upper right-hand corner, there used to be a zoom in, zoom out slider that you could use to zoom in or zoom out on your graphic as you're working on it. I don't see that slider now. Do you know where the zoom in, zoom out slider is?
I do not. I use control plus to zoom in, zoom out, and control 0 takes you to 100%.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you said that. So one of the other cool things about this, and we're looking at Mac right now for the shortcuts, but many of the commands, have the shortcut right here, just like most programs. And undo, redo, a lot of them use command, control C or command C, control V, command V. But you'll see them right there. So you definitely, I think, yeah, here's our zoom in, zoom out and fit on screen. So learning shortcuts is important. It takes time. My rule is if I'm using it frequently, if I use it 5 or 6 times, like once I start to notice it, I'll just make a mental note because I went many years not being a shortcuts person, and my efficiency really increased as I embraced the shortcuts, and they become muscle memory. The biggest challenge is I work on Mac for Mesa and I work on PC for home, and they have different shapes, so I'm constantly mixing those up. But yeah, all of our shortcuts are listed just to the right of the command that we're trying to do. I guess, are there any other quick questions on, I know there's a million things. There are actually at Mesa, we have 2 semesters, there's a level 1 and a level 2 Photoshop class. So yeah, the students get 16 weeks at about 2 hours a class times 2 classes a week. So about 200 hours a semester. We're trying to do it in 20 minutes. So I know there's a ton of questions, but if there's any quick ones, I can do it. Otherwise we can move on to Premiere. All right. Well, I don't see questions, so we will move on to Premiere. I will bring you to a project that we did. So this project right here was, you probably saw this come out on the DL. Ooh. This is our Miles for Mesa campaign that we did for the revolving green supposed to be green revolving fund. There were a lot of edits on this. So essentially, I'll just let it play. You can see here's a window. I guess let me start at the beginning. Premiere is for editing video, and it is a insanely complex program, but it can be used kind of simply. It can be way more complicated than we need, but we may or may not ever need those things. But you can use it in a more simple manner also. And I'm a pretty simple user. It's got layers, just like Photoshop. So things can be on top of each other. So like each of these squares is a layer itself. Up here, we can scale our layers. So if you want to make it smaller or larger, you can move it around. Now, this layer is on the bottom, so the layers on top literally are on top. So this layer, sorry, would be on top. Let's see. So the tools are kind of located here. There are different views. Assembly is kind of when you're gathering all your assets. They call these assets, like all the different photos and sounds and videos that go in it. So sometimes it's nice. They're just different layouts for different things. Some you want a bigger screen, some you want access to these effects where you can kind of, do fades. You can automate that over time. And then right here, you can see like V1, V2, V3. That stands for video 1, video 2, video 3. These are all your video layers. A1, A2, A3. These are all of our audio layers. What I had to do with this particular project is there was background music. And for those of you unaware, this is a TikTok challenge where you throw your shoe in the air and when it hits, your outfit changes. So they sent me their finished videos. They did that on TikTok, sent me the videos. The problem was, nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. There were some expletives in the music right there, and we were not allowed to use it. So what I ended up doing, this is on the audio side, and let me blow it up here a little so you can see. These are what are called keyframes. And basically, this is my volume level, and that's at like standard. And this is at off, minus infinity in technical terms. So what I did is each time there's an expletive, I cut it out, which would sound terrible, except I found a copy of the real song. And what we did is we used this for like the gunshot type sound effect. So you can hear. Because this was just the music and was missing the effect. So I layered them, took out the expletives, and gently faded that out. On some of this, there's a lot of art and there's a lot of science. I tend to lean towards the art side. You end up on stuff like this, you end up using your ear and going, does it sound good? Okay, then I'm gonna use it. One thing you do want to watch for are the red lines right here. If we go too loud, which I can do by dragging this, and you get those, eventually you want to come over to the audio and turn it down. So you just pull the slider down a little bit. So this is your final volume control. Make sure you don't clip. These right here, these bar handles, I first encountered them with Adobe products. I see them in a couple other softwares I use. It almost seems backwards intuitive until you get used to it. But you grab the handles, and this is how you zoom in and out in this program. So you can go left and right. When you make the bar bigger, you're basically seeing more of your timeline. So that is your zoom in and out. This is if you want to make those taller. What's nice about doing that, and let me get back to my editing area. When we make them tall, what I'm showing right here are the keyframes. So you can watch everything is at full strength. Everything is at full strength right now. And then you can see when it hits these dots, it starts to fade. And so these are what is called opacity. And that is right here. So these are the keyframes, which correspond to these dots. And what you'll see is you can watch this 100% right here. And as we get to it, it gently fades out. Now we've got our promo picture fading in, which is this image right here, which you can see I gently faded in. I gave it a couple seconds at full strength and then gently faded out. A lot of this I just learn on the job. I mean, you just think about what you see when you watch YouTube and what you see when you watch television, what you see, you know, and in the various things. And, you know, eventually I consider my aesthetic to be relatively utilitarian. I don't feel like I have a super creative aesthetic on the videos, but I feel like it's functional. And really that's what we're going for is something functional of, you know, being able to make the video, you know, accomplish your message. And let's see. So any quick questions where we're at, or should I keep going?
Yes, I do have a question.
Cool. What's up?
So I don't know if I did not maybe pay attention if you covered that part, but on the Premiere, can you tell us also how you can upload the videos or the picture, like, and then what's the capacity of it, how much we can do it?
When you say upload, do you mean get it into the program, or you mean
Yes.
get it out of the
Yes.
program?
And
Get it
to
into
the program and out of the program. Both of them.
Super. Cool. Glad you asked. Okay, so let's say we wanted to add something to this picture, and I am just going to look for a random picture on my desktop. So you can do one of several things, and this works with pictures or videos, but you literally just drop it in. And so when I dropped it straight to the timeline, these are photos of cookies that our choir director made for the choir as a celebration from the end of semester. But so what you would do is if you know where you want it in your project, you would just drop it in the project, and you can always move it around. If I want to bring in a bunch of pictures, let's say I wanted to bring in all 3 of these pictures, I would drag them over here to where my assets are. And that just loads them in the tray. So like anytime I want to grab one, you just grab it from that side and put it in. The standard length of time when you drop a photograph into, when you drop a photo into Premiere Pro is 5 seconds. You can change that in your preferences, but it seems to work. That seems to be about long enough for people to read them. But let's say it was a picture that had a bunch of text and you really wanted to give someone 10 seconds to read it or something. They call these handles, but if you hover on the edge of each of it, you can just drag it. So now we've got, it's 19 seconds worth of this photograph. So you can you can drag it. You can, if we highlight it, we can change our opacity. We can change our scale. We can change our rotation. We could have things spin. You can automate this. So like, let's say I wanted that spinning. I would say, first this is, this, I don't know how clear it is on your screen, but it looks like it's like a little baby clock. And so if you light it up, it put a keyframe right there. You can see this is kind of your map here. So our rotation is 0 degrees. And we'll just go to the end of the, towards the end, and let's tell it, let's see, let's go 1080, which is 3 rotations, 360 times 3. So now, and then, you know what we'll do just to be crazy is we'll automate some opacity. So we'll give it 43% there. We'll give it 65 there. And you can see it's drawing my line right here. So you can do that, just like a lot of things, you can do it at many places. If I hit Command on Apple or Control on Windows, instead of using the slider or moving the timeline, can you see that little, let me make this a little bigger. So you can see like now it just made a plus. So I'm kind of drawing in a little curve. And now if we watch it, so not that cookies over a fitness video makes much sense, but you could see that could be like spinning party lights, and it could be a music video. You can do all sorts of effects on this. And really, there's so much to go over. We've got a course. I'm unfamiliar with anything we have in multimedia, but we have a course called Digital Video Production for the Dramatic Arts in our drama department. And they spend a full semester working in Adobe Premiere. They also talk about some voiceover techniques and, even more complex editing than what I'm doing now. So if anybody is interested in learning some deeper stuff, both of these programs that I've gone over so far, we offer the full classes, and right now, since we're remote, we've got one more semester where we can kind of jump in as employees and not totally have it. Oh, Arliss, this is Adobe Premiere Pro. This is the Adobe video production program, and it's part of the Creative Cloud, which is Adobe's entire suite of products. So when you get one project, when you get one of these programs, you actually get access to all of them. And what's super cool is that they all play well with each other, and they're all integrated with each other. So let's say I needed to make an edit on this. I could go edit in Photoshop and make some edits. Let's just grab the pen tool and.
Alan, maybe it's a good idea also shows how they can download the program if they don't have it.
Yeah, let's remind me that as soon as we get to the end, because I've got an email. I emailed the College Technology Services, and I got the instructions so that you can make the request and get this. Once you get the account, and anybody can go to adobe.com. That's where we get it. So you get it at adobe.com, and you'll set up an account. Use your district email. You get a 30-day free trial of all the things. And basically there's a little app. Let's see if it loads. It doesn't I'm on an old operating system, and it doesn't really like to log in for me without going through this will be very clumsy, so I'm not going to do it. But essentially this cloud app manages like the whole bundle of apps. So eventually you've just got your list of Adobe stuff. And once you've got like their main cloud app, then you just pick from a list of what you want. Oh, cool. Yeah, Todd. So when I get done, Todd has some information about Adobe Spark, another free, more basic video editing program. And he'll show the Creative Cloud page and how to get those. And again, I'll drop the instructions in the chat because, this immensely helped my work. When I got to move from making our stuff in Word, and I didn't even have a movie editor. So, I guess I think I did something in like a 2008 version of iMovie before this. But had I done any editing to this, I don't want to damage my original, but I will hit close. We will not save. Had I saved that, this would refresh with our new image. And actually, you know what? I've got an idea. I have a very non-destructive way to do this. One of the cool things you can do is a negative image. And you do that by using this invert. And it just picks the opposite color. So I'll just go ahead and save that. And when I close this, you'll see that it comes and it refreshes in this program. So if you need to change, it's really cool if you need to change something or edit in a different program, this, all of the Creative Cloud is kind of linked together. This is a little outside of the scope of what we came here to talk about, but Adobe also has a program called Audition, and Audition is the sound editing program. And so we could right click on the audio and edit in Audition. If we have time at the end, I'll show you a little video that I made. Let's see, I see stuff coming in the chat. I'm not super experienced at managing all of this. Let's see, how do I add text? That's a really good question, Charlie. And the answer is, in the new version, there's a button right here that says text, and you literally click the button. In the older versions, what you have to do is new item, and they call it a title. And we'll just call it title 0. And it brought me up a title screen, which I will get out of the way for a second. So I'll put my title right here. And we'll just say testing 1, 2, 3.
I had to move the Zoom box, so I missed the icon for text. Can you point out the main icon for text again?
Well, in the new version, the icon is literally right here. It's a T.
Okay.
It's the common T that's in all the
okay.
programs.
So this is the older version, so it doesn't.
I'm using the 2015 because I'm on an old operating system on my Mac.
Okay.
So the way that the alternate way to do it is with a title slide.
Okay.
And I still, I've got the new version on my other computer, on my home PC, but I still use these title slides all the time because I like having them over here in my assets area. And I like this working window. I find this more convenient. And just, it's probably because I'm used to it, and I do get in habits and find them hard to break. But once you find a way that works for you, you keep going with it. So just like I said about making these dots right here, and I can move them around right there, or I can select it through this thing, and I can mess with it. There's many ways to do it. And so it's about finding the way that works for you. Let's see. So Premiere, we did our layers. We did oh, this is some cool stuff. We'll do a couple more of these, and then I'm going to turn this over to Todd. I see we're using a lot more time than I anticipated. So under effects, there's a ton of effects. Some of the cooler ones are these presets, and they call them speed looks. But like these faded films are pretty fun. You can just take a, you just grab one and you drop it on your layer. So on that one, I put faded film. And let's say I do faded film black and white on that one. You'd never end up doing it quite like this for the final product, but just showing you some different one. Let's see, speed looks. There are tons of cool, just super kind of funky looking. I guess we call them stylized, probably. And down here in Universal, I tend to use things like this tobacco or Western. It just gives like a really vintage feel. It kind of yellows it out. When you do those, a whole bunch of other cool stuff comes over here, like your vignette, which I may or may not be pronouncing properly, your basic correction, where you can take white balance, you can do your contrast, you can do saturation, you can do vibrance. I'm working on Charlie's right now. You can see the saturation going crazy. So again, there's entire classes on what to do with these tools. It's just that they're there and you can do just about anything you could imagine with them. Let's see, Photoshop, fade, speed looks. Okay, so one of the final things that we'll need to do, one is there are sequence settings. This is how it's going to export. So it looks like we did this at in 720. I'm sure you've all heard of 4K and 720 and 1080p, and these are kind of how big the frame is. So 16:9 is the most common. It's changing. It used to be 4:3. Now it's 16:9, and a lot of phones are going even wider than this. But 16:9 is probably the most common ratio that you'll use for like uploading to YouTube or Facebook videos. So this is a pretty common one. Let's see, 1920 by 1080 is another common one. So you'll set your sequence settings, and then what you got to do is you mark your in and your out, which, you know, you kind of like artfully wait for your fade out. It's faded out. So I've got my out here. I've got my in here. So this is the in, and this is where you mark your out. And then you would go to export media. Here's where you would name it. Here's where you would tell it where, you know, where you want it to go. Very simple, very standard for like every other program. But the big kicker is going to be here. The format H.264 is the most common one right now. I don't know if I have a trick to remember it, but once you get on H.264, typically I'll go match source high bitrate. And it's going to tell me right here, this estimated file size is 35 megabytes, which is tiny because it's a 30-second clip. But when you're doing, like, say, a 10-minute video or an hour-long video, sometimes you want to make things smaller or bigger. But like if we wanted to do YouTube at 1080 HD, it would be 56 megabytes. It's double the size. So like with many things, we want to know our audience and know Does HD matter? Is it worth the extra size? Is it worth the extra time of uploading? Is it worth the extra bandwidth? Often you can't tell the difference. Audio is HD. Once you hit 720 for the video side, typically the audio is considered HD at that point and doesn't get better as you increase the video. So for me, I do about half my stuff at 1080 and about half my stuff at 720. And you know, it also depends on what your source content is. If your source content is very high def for 4K, you could go bigger. If your source content is small, all you're really doing is adding a bunch of extra information and size, but it's called upsampling. The data really isn't there to get it bigger. And in this one, we were not working with large videos. So I just went with the 720. I actually went with match source high bitrate probably. That seems to be my most common because it'll match what you put in is what you get out. Unless you know you want to change it, that is typically a good idea. One other project I'll show you real quick, and then I will make my handoff. That's not it. ClassiCon folder. I have one that says FPAC. Minus for me, leave it. No. Here it is. Oh, another cool thing as that loads is you can copy things from project to project. So you can actually just cut and paste assets. You can cut and paste sequences on the timeline. You can do all sorts of stuff from even between the different programs. On this particular project, what I was asked for, I was given 30 seconds to put in a minute and a half's worth of stuff. This was for a board presentation. And so what I did is, you'll see this says 200%. I made a cut right there. To me, it sounds really good at 200%. But what you can do is speed and duration. And I told it 200%, maintain audio pitch. So this began its life as this. Oh, another thing I should show you. These are a couple tools that are incredibly important. The snap, it looks like a magnet. That makes it very rigid, but helps line things up. You cannot nudge things or you don't get like a smooth slide. You're kind of working on a grid. So it's a pain when you're trying to be super precise. It is incredibly awesome when you're trying to sync things, because when you turn it on and move things, it'll line up the end. It thinks it knows what you want. And when it's right, it's really helpful. When it's wrong, it's really not helpful. And all you do is turn it off. This linked selection means that when I select the audio, it'll select the video. So these are not groups. So, ungroup. I am going to link these two. So now if I select this and I move it, the audio is going to move with the video. Now when I go to my speed and I just tell it I want 100%, so you can edit your speeds if you need to, like, let's say you're doing a time lapse. Let's say, you know, any set, like if you want to, you know, you're setting up a room and you're showing like a video and setting the scene. Sometimes you might run that at like 500%. So you just you see the people running around real quick and then you slow it down and then it's done. So it's super convenient. The other thing is every once in a while things get out of whack where like the audio comes unsynced with the video. If ever that happens, you can do that. If I move this, it's got to be part of the same video. So like if I get them out of sync like this and I want to get it back in sync, all I have to do is turn on my snap. And as soon as I get close, bam, it goes, I know you want that to be together, and it lines it back up for me. So let's see. So that was the FPAC version. Well, we've got 7 minutes left. I think I've run you through all of the projects that I had laid out. So any quick questions before we toss this back to Todd? I see no questions. So Todd, why don't you take it from here?
All right. Thanks a lot, Alan. First of all, it's very difficult to show these types of programs and how they can be useful in the workplace because these are professional level tools that we're talking about here. Photoshop is what professional photographers use, and Adobe Premiere is what professional website developers and people who do a lot more business type videos and stuff than movies. But if you combine Adobe Premiere with Adobe After Effects, which is also part of the cloud, you can make an almost Avengers level movie, okay, if you really get into that stuff. So, Alan showed us the practical way to use it, which is actually kind of pretty difficult to do because it has so many options in it. So I thought that was great, Alan. You showed me some stuff that I didn't even know. So, that was pretty amazing. And I realize now, of course, that some of you guys are probably going to be a little bit overwhelmed because those are professional level types of software. And so maybe it feels a little overwhelming for you. So I'm going to talk about something that is also part of the Adobe Cloud that you can get. So first I'm going to show you something. You may be aware of Canva, not Canvas, but Canva, which is a place that kind of helps you create flyers and things. You see that a lot on campus when people send out flyers. They're actually using Canva to create flyers. I created all of our ClassiCon stuff and a lot of website pictures and things. So Canva is kind of a multi-purpose thing that you might use. And Adobe happens to have something that's very similar. So first of all, if you want to download the Adobe Creative Cloud, this is just Google it, right? Or I Binged it in this case. But Google will give you the same result. You're going to click on this page. You're going to go to the download, right? You're going to download Creative Cloud. You're going to have to use your credentials from school and follow the directions that Alan has. You can go ahead and download the Creative Cloud, though. It's not going to install any of the actual programs on there. It just gives you the interface that will allow you to install those programs, okay? And once you have it downloaded, can you guys see that? Yeah, this is what it looks like. Now, the one that you may not see all these, I have the full version, okay? You may not see all of these options, but none of them are actually installed once you download the Creative Cloud. So you need to find the ones that you're going to want to install, like Photoshop, Premiere Pro, okay? These other ones are really for more specialized for other things. Animate's pretty cool, though. And you may be familiar with Dreamweaver because it's used to build websites. We don't use it on campus because we don't need to. We have the OU, which does that for us. But you'll notice that once you have the cloud downloaded, there's things that you can install on your computer that are listed under desktop. There are things that you can install on your phone or mobile device that are listed under mobile. And then there's an area called web, right? And most of us already have Adobe Acrobat, right? It comes installed on most computers. It's what opens your PDFs by default. And if you have the DC version, then you can probably edit and create PDFs as well. Most of us have that on our home computer. Here's where you're going to find an interesting program that does some of the things that Photoshop and Premiere Pro do, but it's a little easier to use and is meant more for the layman, and it's called Spark. So you would, instead of downloading it, you just launch it, right? And it launches in your web page, okay? And then it is a lot like Canvas in that it just walks you through what it is that you want to do, right? Maybe you know, and it does kind of three things. It does graphics, it does web page, simple web page with graphic, and it also does video. And it's kind of set up like PowerPoint, right? So when you create a video, you'd create a project, and then much like Canva, it gives you a lot of different options that you can grab from, right? If you're going to Pinterest or you're going to do a Facebook post, you know, Twitter, these things are already pre-sized so that they're going to fit. So you don't have to think about some of the things that Alan was talking about, 1280 and 720 and the 1080p's and all those things, right? So let's just say we're going to, you know, we'll just grab something at random here. We're going to create like a flyer. It's giving me a little thing while it loads that. And then here it is. This is a template that we can work with. And over on the right, you're going to see some things that you can do, but mostly it's a drag and drop type of situation, just like Canva. Okay. And we don't have time to show you all of it. It's very simple to use. If you go onto YouTube, there's a lot of short videos about how to use Adobe Spark and various different things that you can do with it. Like Alan said before, YouTube is a great resource for learning how to do Adobe product, right? I learned Photoshop using YouTube years ago, you know. And I also learned Dreamweaver on YouTube. I also took classes for it, but I learned a lot more on YouTube than I did in the classes, because in YouTube, you can just, you know, focus in on whatever it is, the specific thing that you want to learn. So you can get access to that through the college. The Adobe Spark, you get a free 30-day trial. So you can try it out for 30 days. It's great for making stuff on the fly and posting it quickly. And it looks professional because it sizes everything for you in a similar way to Canva. So can't show it all because we are actually at the end of our time, but if Adobe Premiere and Photoshop feel like too much, then, you know, you might try Spark. It's kind of meant for people who are not graphic designers, you know.
Is it Canva time limited though? Don't they give you like 30 days free or something like that? But after that, you have to pay.
Canva, you can create a free account on Canva and you can use it, but you're going to be limited in the number of things that you're going to have to bring in your own media, basically. Okay. And there's some things you just can't do, like resize something once it's already been made. Canva is also really nice for making a quick graphic or flyer. I make these Zoom backgrounds on Canva, actually, but it doesn't have anywhere near the kind of editing power that Adobe Premiere and Photoshop have. Okay. Yeah, Canva's not a download, it's just a web page. So you should just be able to go to the Canva website if you want to use it. I'm not actually showing Canva today, though. If you were familiar with it.
I've just seen student workers use it to make flyers at work.
It's become very popular and it's advertised on TV now. So,
okay.
You know, lots of people are using it. It is a very simple program. It's great for creating headers and things like that. But you can also do almost everything that you can do in Canva, you can do in Spark, plus a lot more. Okay. And it's also pretty easy to use. And Spark is definitely one of the programs that IT is going to allow you to have as a campus employee because it's free, actually.
Yeah.
Nice.
You just have to have the Creative Cloud account. So that's your first step. Contact IT, get that Creative Cloud account, ask for the couple programs that you would want, Adobe Premiere and Photoshop being the two main ones. There's a lot of other ones there.
Well, so, Acrobat Pro being one of them.
Yes, Acrobat Pro is great. A lot of your computers on campus already have it, though.
Another cool trick is you can right click on any PDF. And if you have Photoshop installed, you can right click on it, click open in Photoshop, and then edit it like a graphic, which is insanely convenient. And you know, when you can't fix something, like if it's an old form and you just need to change a date. I know back in the day when flex forms were still on pieces of paper, I had every single one of those a Photoshop template. So all I had to do was change lines because I couldn't change it in the original. So
and that's like a trick of the trade. A lot of people who make PDFs a lot, they know that you can drop it into Photoshop and it's easier to edit because of the layering system, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas when if you've ever tried to make a fillable form in Adobe Premiere Pro, Acrobat Pro, it's kind of tedious.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've gone over by a few minutes. Are there any questions we want to address? By the way, I'm always available. I'm gonna drop my email in there. I'm always available via email if anybody has questions on these or gets themselves into a thing and they're not able to, with Google and YouTube, sometimes it's knowing the term so you know what you're asking. Yeah, I'm always available if anybody's got any questions or, needs to accomplish a task on this. That's one of the beauties of our new Zoom world is we can collaborate at any time, at any space. So yeah, please reach out if you have questions about this stuff. And then, if we've got any questions we want to go over in a couple of minutes, happy to do that as well.